Jewish priests have successfully brought offerings on the Temple Mount in Jerusalem. This is real. It's an incredible story that happened against all odds, and I'm going to tell you all about it. Of course, this is an extremely significant event, though it may not be getting all the media coverage that it really deserves. Something like this happening after many, many hundreds of years, nearly 2,000 years, and now for the second time.
Well, what does that mean?
Oh, hi. Yeah, well, this isn't the first time.
It isn't?
Oh, you didn't hear about last year? All right, so I'll show you the video from last year in just a minute, but first I want to talk about this year. Okay, so this happened on Shavuot, which was on Friday, May 22nd. And because it was a Friday, Jews were not permitted to enter the Temple Mount. Only Muslims are allowed to enter. But even if Jews would have been allowed to enter, the Israeli government does not permit the performance of offerings on the Temple Mount. So this had to be done in a less than ideal manner. Yeah, while it would be nice if the government of the Jewish state allowed the free practice of the Jewish religion, that's just not where we're at right now. And you know, we've had these different governments that have ruled in the land of Israel throughout history, and we've had governments that have outlawed certain aspects of Judaism. But the question always is, how are we going to react to that? What are we going to do about it? And in this case, these young men decided that they were not going to let the government stop them. So the Jews who brought this offering had to get past both police and Islamic Waqf security. And there were about 13 people who were arrested in the process. One of them was a Cohen, a priest, who was able to successfully bring the offering in the temple courtyard. And also because it was Shavuot, a Jewish holiday, they did not record themselves with electronic devices. And the fact that no Muslims managed to catch this on film is really a testament to how quickly this all went down. But there is some footage taken after the fact by some Arabs on the Temple Mount, and I'm going to show you that right now. You can see here that there was a boy playing ball or soccer right near the Holy of Holies. It's interesting that Jews are not permitted to bring offerings in our holiest place, but apparently Arabs are allowed to play soccer there. Okay, and you can see here a man wearing priestly garments. And it looks like the police officer here is holding one of the offerings. So what offering are we talking about? It's called the Shtei HaLechem, the 2 loaves of bread. I know a lot of people, when they think about offerings, they think of sheep and goats and things like that, but there are other types of offerings in the Torah as well. I'm not going to go into all the details here, but if you want to read more about this, it's in the Torah in the book of Vayikra, Leviticus chapter 23, verses 15 to 20. And these are 2 large loaves of bread, leavened bread, that's made in a special way. And they were brought up as an elevation offering or a wave offering, which means that they were lifted up near the altar. And afterward, they were not burned on the altar. They were to be eaten by the priests. With the number of things that had to come together for this to successfully happen, many of the people who were involved say that they feel like they experienced miraculous events. So how did they do it? This was a pre-planned and coordinated event. This was not spontaneous. The people who were involved had studied the relevant laws, and they'd been planning this for quite some time. The group consisted of 13 young men, the youngest of which was only 15 years old, and they divided into 2 groups. Each group had a priest with a set of the 2 loaves. Just in case something happened to one of them, hopefully the other would be able to complete it. The group entered the Temple Mount through the Sheep Gate, which is located in the northwestern corner of the Temple Mount. And they got there about 5:30 p.m., thinking things were going to be pretty calm. but it turns out it was almost time for the Muslim evening prayer, so it was more crowded than they expected. So they pushed through the gate together and all entered the Temple Mount at a run. And it was quite a distance that they had to run to reach the area of the temple courtyard. The scene was chaotic. There were Arabs and members of the Islamic Waqf who were trying to block them and attacking them along the way. They were hitting them and throwing objects at them, including a chair. And without any video of this, I could only imagine what it must have looked like. Yeah, probably something like that. Anyway, the police were also trying to stop them using force. There's a raised area in the middle of the Temple Mount, and most of the group stopped at the beginning of this raised area. The priest ran in as far as he possibly could. He wasn't sure exactly what point he reached because it all happened so quickly, but he did manage to wash his feet and hands using a metal thermos that was handed to him by one of the other members of the group. And the thermos itself had been bent and dented from being dropped during the chaos. The priest's forehead had been scratched, but somehow his glasses and turban did not fall off. His belt did come loose at some point. He wasn't sure if it was before, during, or after he was able to lift up the bread. Another member of the group said that he saw the priest wave the bread, and immediately after that, a police officer jumped on him and tackled him to the ground. There was a large number of border police officers who rushed to the scene, some say around 40 or 50. They took the detainees off the Temple Mount and they remained in handcuffs for something like 7 hours. Some of them said they felt like they were being treated like terrorists. They were kept in jail for the holiday of Shavuot and also the entire following day, which was Shabbat. All right, so let's take a look at the map. This is an aerial view from the Temple Institute. And this is not intended to be a super accurate map. This is just to give you a rough idea of where things are. Okay, this is north, south, east, and west. The white sort of T shape in the middle here would be the temple. And as you can see, it is on top of the Dome of the Rock. And this building over here is the Al-Aqsa Mosque. The lighter colored area here is this large raised platform I was talking about that the Dome of the Rock currently sits on. The altar is located approximately here with this yellow square. The purple rectangle is the temple courtyards. The green square is the size of the Temple Mount at the beginning of the Second Temple period. And the red outline is the Temple Mount as it is today. It's about 144 dunams, which is about 36 acres. And this blue area down here at the bottom is the Kotel, the Western Wall Plaza. And as you can see, the Western Wall, where a lot of people go to pray today, is really just a small portion of the Western retaining wall that was built by Herod. So the Sheep Gate is located in the far northwest corner, which is right here. And you can see that they had to run quite a distance to reach the area of the temple courtyard. Now, where you saw people being rounded up by the police earlier in the video, that was happening right about here. And it's from this location right here that the group last Shavuot, ran in to bring the offering. So we're going to talk about that right now. So last year, Shavuot was not on a Friday. It was on a day when Jews were allowed to go to the Temple Mount. And again, there was a very coordinated group. They somehow managed to smuggle in these large loaves of bread inside of a baby carriage, as well as sneaking in other things that they needed. Most of the group that they were walking with had no idea that this was about to happen, but there were a few people who were in on it. Sometimes groups are allowed to go up this path right up to the edge of the raised area. And it was when they reached this point that some people started running in all directions to create a diversion. A couple of priests ran towards the side of the altar. One of them was Ariel Cohen, who is the same priest that waved the bread this year. And this time there was an Arab who managed to catch the events on video. So here you can see that Ariel Cohen manages to wash his feet and hands, and then he's handed the bread. One of them is carrying the loaves of bread, and he waves it. And again, they were arrested and treated quite harshly by the police, as you can see here in this video. So what is this? I mean, is this what redemption is supposed to look like? Well, maybe this is what the beginning of redemption looks like. You know, people said the same thing about the establishment of the state of Israel or the ingathering of Jews from all over the world, you know. Isn't this supposed to be like bigger and more perfect and everything? But in reality, things are often a lot messier. You know, and it happens in small steps, small, less than ideal steps. You know, and don't get me wrong, the way these offerings are being brought is much, much less than ideal. But it is a beginning. There are a lot of parallels between today and the era of the building of the Second Temple. We read in the prophet Zechariah 4:10, "Does anyone scorn a day of small beginnings?" And what it's talking about there is Zerubbabel and the building of the Second Temple. We read in Ezra 3:12 that when the foundations for the temple were being laid, some people were shouting with joy and other people were crying. People who had seen the first temple were weeping loudly because it was not as great as they were hoping it would be. So don't scorn the day of small beginnings. As I mentioned, the brave priest who was able to raise the bread both last year and this year, his name is Ariel Cohen, and I want to show you a video of him performing the priestly blessing on the Temple Mount. But first I want to say that I really appreciate all my viewers. I hope that you keep watching my videos and that they're meaningful to you. I really want all the best for you, and that we should all seek the truth and grow closer to our Creator, and that we should see and rejoice in the full renewal of the temple service in our days. And here is the priest who brought the offering of the 2 loaves for Shavuot for the 2nd year in a row.
וישמרך, וישמרך, יאר, יאר, אדוני, אדוני, פניו, פניו, אליך, אליך, ויחונקה, ויחונקה, יפרח, יפרח, אדוני, אדוני, פניו, פניו, אליך, אליך, וישם, וישם, לך, לך, שלום, שלום.